You're live.
We're live. Hi, anybody out there? I think I see somebody down there. That's just you. Okay.
I was just testing.
Well, okay, she's testing it. Okay, well, we'll wait just a little bit so that we have some people because we need that back and forth. So hopefully, I've told you enough and some will be able to show up. But anyway, what we were talking about last week was, does quality really count? And we had a great conversation about it. We talked a lot about plating. I was able to share with you a lot of the things that I've learned after being in this business since, I'm trying to remember, 1988, I think I started doing this kind of thing. So, and I've been on the internet since 97. So it's a while. It's a while that, I think parts are what I know best, along with vintage history, because I used to do vintage jewelry, as you know. So we talked a lot about those things, about what to look for, and what to be wary of, and what to try and build into our own pieces that we make. Trying to give people the very best we can for the price they're paying is so important. So I think I think this is coming out weird. I'm sorry. We just don't have anybody to talk to. I hate to go plowing into this if there's nobody here, but you know what? You can always watch it later, so it's fine. I don't know what I'm talking about. It's just easier if there's somebody to talk to. I guess some people are late getting here because I do know people are coming. So it's all good. So we talked about quality last week and how we could build that into our things. And another way that you can do that to build quality into your jewelry pieces is to be sure that you understand good technique. Like if you're using glue, I use glue a good bit. So if I use glue, I want to be sure that there's no glue showing on the backs of the pieces or around the pieces that I put on there, just to be glue-free, basically. I mean, the glue's underneath and it's doing its job, but nobody's seeing it. At least most of it, nobody's seeing it.
Lori!
Hey, Lori, thank you for coming. She's our first one.
Yay!
Yeah, people are running a little bit late today. That's okay. That's
No
okay.
problem.
We're the ones usually running late.
I know, right?
So you want to be sure that no glue is showing. And also we talked last week, too, about what's the best way to find out if you have glue showing or wire or anything that doesn't belong where it is, solder showing where it's not supposed to, is take a picture. The camera does not lie. Oh, how I know. When I see these videos, the playbacks, I always look back on them to critique myself and so forth. And I look at me. Boy, the camera doesn't lie. Well, it won't lie with your jewelry either. If there's an issue with your jewelry and you've missed it by looking at it, it'll be like a set of fresh eyes. You'll find it that way. You will. Okay, people are lining up. Now we got Jan's here, Chris is here, Colleen,
here.
Lori, and Nancy.
Hi, from Pennsylvania.
Annville, Pennsylvania. Mary McMahon, Debbie Nicolaus,
Andrea.
Oh, yeah. Yay. I was starting to think I was abandoned today. This is a little weird. I'm sorry. But anyway, so we never want to forget the importance of our customer by doing sloppy, hurried work. That will wreck things as much as having a price that's too high. Maybe more. Probably more. So we want to be sure that we have good techniques. And like, for example, if you're using rivets, you want to set them nice. They need to look nice. Now, there are techniques, which I haven't gotten into it a lot because I'm good with rivets, but we just never have done a lot of it in videos. I think in my early years on YouTube, we did some pretty good videos on rivets. So if you want to look for them, they're going back like 10, 11 years, but they're there. I don't always use a setter when I do a rivet. And if you want to really get it good and neat, using a setter, that's that little kind of thing. It looks almost like a center punch, but it's not pointed on the end. It has a little nib, and it goes into the eyelet. I use eyelet rivets. So anyway, so if you put that in there and you tamp it down, it'll be nice and round and neat. I don't often use that setter though. I have them, but I don't often use them. They're harder to find. Sometimes I have them at the website, sometimes I don't. So I use a chasing, no, it's not a chasing hammer. It's a flat hammer with a ball peen on the back of it. You know, the little ball thing on the end of it is very flat on the front side, and on the other side it's a ball peen like a ball. And with that hammer, or with a lightweight chasing hammer, if I just hit it lightly, I don't need a setter. It goes on there fairly nicely. Or I'll do what they call blowing it out, where it kind of flats it on the back. None of that is wrong. None of that is wrong. You just have to decide what looks best with what you're doing. But you don't want to get it crookedy or high or, you know, really, really banged so that you can't hardly, you know, pass anything through it. You want to be sure that it's done properly. If you're using regular flathead rivets, you got to be sure that you get them down all the way, and again, nice and neatly. Okay, so that's just another thing you want to watch for. And also with solder, you don't want to flow all over the place. Unless you're doing that molten lava thing, which I never could get the trick of. I wish I could. Someday I'd really like to revisit that, but keep your soldering neat too. And I'm not a big one to advise you about how to do that because I don't often solder. I know how, but you're not going to see videos from me anytime soon about soldering. But if you want to learn something about soldering, there are tons of videos about it on YouTube. I really don't have anybody to recommend, but I can tell you this. On our website, under jewelry tutorials, we have a really good tutorial that Harry Wood did for us some time ago. It's very, very good. He did an excellent job. And, you know, Harry, he's a really important member of the Bisa Boutiques creative group. We all love Harry. Harry participates in everything. He's always kind. He always has advice. But he was a benchwork jeweler for many years. But now he prefers to do his raku pottery and his assemblage and things like that, some beading. So that's why he's with us. But he was a benchwork jeweler, so he knows all about those things. So if you want to look that video up, if you want to know more about soldering, go look that up. And you can print it too. You're welcome to print it out from our website if you want to save it and put it in a folder. And I'm sure too that if you have any questions about it, you can approach him, because he is extremely approachable and he's always happy to hear from you. And he'll tell you, you know, anything that you're not sure about, he'll tell you. Sometimes he might even show you with a picture or two. So there's a thought as well. Let's see if anyone else has come. We've got Candy here, Dara showing up from work. Darcy is here. Where's Bean? She's not here yet, evidently. Heidi's back. Yay.
And Michelle.
And Michelle, how you doing? It's really good to see you. I look kind of peaked today because I didn't put any color in my cheeks. But anyway, you guys love me anyway, so we won't worry about it, right? I usually don't, but usually the camera's not on me the whole time. Usually
That's true.
I got stuff down here that, you know, I'm doing and you're not
We're looking at papers.
looking at my silly face. Okay, so we talked last week too about looking, you know, at brass and why all brass is not the same, you know, even if it's made in the United States. The bottom part of it might be, the brass stamping itself might be the same for everybody. But the difference is what? It's the finish. It's the plating. So you should become acquainted a little bit with plating and the different types. I'm happy to help. I've, you know, gone through this journey arduously over the years to find just the right plating. So my guy and I, we worked it out years ago, and I've used the same finishes for a long, long time. And I found out which ones don't work very well for me and which ones do. So what I have now is what works really well. The silverware silver plate, which is 99% fine silver. It's like almost pure silver in the plating bath. Have the brass ox that has the black antique with it. That's very mellow. You see all the detail. It's not just a bronzy finish with no highs and lows. We also have our gold. We have two golds. We have the satin classic type gold, which has got the very mellow cinnamon antique on it now, and it looks like the Miriam Haskell look. And that's on our brass. That's only on our brass. Then we have the shiny gold, 22 karat gold dip on our pewter. So you'll see a difference. If you buy our pewter, it's different looking than our brass, and that's for a reason, because we wanted to have that Miriam Haskell look stuff on the brass because people like it, and it's unique for us. You don't find that. We developed that look ourselves, and you just don't find it. People aren't doing it. So we have that at East Boutiques, and then we have the shiny, and what did I miss? Silver, brass. Oh, we have matte black, too. Our finishes are all nickel free but one, and that's the gold finish. But the nickel is sealed out. The way that it's done, the nickel is sealed out. He only uses, I think he said, a quarter of the nickel that you have to get a good finish, and then it's sealed out by other things that go over top of it. So nobody has ever complained that it broke them out. You know, I don't like nickel in my stuff. I can get, if it's like a warm day or something like that, I can get broken out. So I don't want that, like, especially in my earrings. Oh, no. No. But the reason why there's nickel in that finish is because you can't really make a good, strong gold finish if there's no nickel underneath. You almost have to have it. So if you see somewhere that says it's nickel free and it's gold, I'm immediately leery of it. Is it going to hold up? It might look beautiful. It might look great while you're working with it, but is it going to hold up for your customer and not wear off? Because that's what happens sometimes. It's like if you buy vintage stuff, say you buy a big wad of chain, which I have had that from time to time, big wads of chain. I try to go through mine and pull anything out that I think is silver tone, which silver tone usually has some nickel in it. So that's kind of one way to tell. Ask your vendor. If your vendor doesn't know, they should. They should. Another way to tell if there's nickel in something is it has a smell. And you may have noticed that before. Sometimes when you get a big wad of old stuff and it's got silver color on it, it has a dusky smell to it. That can mean one of two things, or both. It's got nickel in it, or lead. Maybe both. Maybe more likely it's got lead, especially the more acrid the metal smell is. It's probably got some lead in it. So that's something else to look for, because quality has so much to do with plating. That's why I'm going into it again after we talked about it last week, because without good plating, you're sunk. And I don't care on what, whether it's on pewter or zinc, on brass, whatever. If you do not have good plating on there, it's not going to hold up, it's not going to look good, or it might break your customer out, or who knows what's in it, Because, we're always so cautious about buying Chinese, which talked about that last week too. But, in this country, not that long ago, it didn't matter if there was nickel and stuff, because nickel's not a carcinogen. It's an allergen. So it's not illegal. It's still not illegal. It's just people prefer not to have nickel. Back in the heyday of costume jewelry in this country, which is like from maybe the 30s up through the 70s, a lot of time nobody cared about if there's a little bit of lead, trace lead or cadmium in something. They didn't care. They didn't care if they used pot metal castings, which, for those who don't know what pot metal is, it's basically like an end of day type mix. They just put everything in there and into the crucible and melt it down. So it might be part pewter and it might be part some kind of lead stuff.
Okay, Lori had a question. Can you fold brass for making cuffs like you can on copper?
I've not done it. I think so. But you would probably have to look that up. because it's not what I do. I don't do a lot of slamming and hammering around. So that's not my forte. I think probably you can. Maybe if you annealed it and softened it with heat with a torch first or something. Pretty sure that you can. I'd have to look that up for you. But I'm sure that if you Googled it, you'd find out real quick.
Mary had a question. What would you recommend to be the best product to add a bit of color to the matte back, brass or pewter? It's a good question.
If you just want a little bit of light, something on there, just a little something for an accent, I would say definitely Perfect Pearls.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Mm-hmm. But if
Turns
you
out
want to
great.
have some opaque color, then acrylic paints will do it real nicely. You know, the lunar paste is cool on it. You know, you have to apply it with a brush. You know, I like the foam brushes, the spongy brushes. You know, because you can wash them out, and that's lunar paste is water soluble, so you can wash them out. I like it, you know, but you could just use regular acrylics. You can use paint pens too. Acrylic paint pens, or I like the Testors paint pens if you can find them, but I can't carry them because of the flammable factor. You know, you probably I might be talking out of time. I was going to say maybe a little bit of alcohol ink, but I think you'd have to distress it first, and it might not come up real bright. It's best, I think, if you use it on raw brass. That's what I would do. Anyway, I hope that helps. And we see have anything else going on here. Ann Almer saying she likes the chat. That's good.
Oh, somebody was talking about
Sherry
Simon.
Miller.
Yeah.
Sherry Miller. I told him, you're using his artist. He thought it was cool. You should contact and see if you can do an artist spotlight with him. Well, that's a thought.
It's pretty cool.
That's a thought. I haven't used it a lot. I mostly demonstrated it, you know, for everybody else to use. I wish I could use it a whole lot. But I don't only just colorize brass. I do lots of other things. Right now, I'm knee deep in this vintage beading class with wire, which the last video for that's tomorrow. And then after that, I'm going to rewrite my Build-A-Line class, and some of you guys were in it before years ago. I did it for pretty sure it was six years straight every January. So I'm going to do it again. It's going to be this time probably in February. Probably starting out maybe the first week of February or something like that. And we're going to do that. And I hope you'll consider doing it, because if you like this video, Build-A-Line's a whole lot more. The way we used to do it was all by modules, like stuff you read, and then we discuss it in a Facebook classroom. But what I'll do is I'm going to do the modules like I'm talking to you now. So there'll be video. And then I'll have a module that you can print out if you want to. So you can keep it in a notebook or whatever. Also, you'll have permanent access to the videos. And we will discuss them not only on the live videos, but in the classroom too. So it's going to be so much better than it was. But it was pretty sweet when we did it before, even the way we did it. I mean, it was pretty good. But it's going to be so much better now. So I hope you'll consider doing that. I don't know how much it will cost, but one thing that'll be cool about it, there's no kit. Since it's just discussion, so you won't have to buy a kit or anything like that. So it'll be way affordable. I'll put it to you that way. Let's see what everybody else is saying. Did I miss anything else? I don't think so. Okay, so anyway, I think we pretty much covered the quality part of it. Now, we started to talk a little bit last week about who your customer is.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many of you sell your work. If you want to just comment, it would be great. Oh, by the way, if anybody's listening to this, be sure you want to comment. Be sure that you're logged into your Google account, because that's how you'll be able to do it. You have to be logged into your Google account. And then YouTube will let you comment. And if you comment, at the end of this, I'm going to do a drawing.
Woohoo!
And where you will see who the winner is maybe a half hour, something like that, after the video has closed and finished, I'll come back and I will leave who won underneath the, the main video itself, where people also leave comments. It won't be in the feed. Of course, this feed will be shut down. So it'll be right there. And if you're the winner, then you need to get in touch with me. I'll leave an email for you, if I don't know you. And you will have to get in touch with me so I can find out where to send your giftie. And my gifties are sweet. If you don't know that, some of these girls here may vouch for that, because a lot of them have won them before. So if you haven't before and you're new to us, then you could win. So say something. If you don't say anything, I don't know you're here, you can't be in the drawing. It's as easy as that. You don't have to buy anything, just have to say something, comment, be involved. So, and I appreciate that, because the more people are involved and ask me things and say things, the more that it guides the conversation. And it helps me, helps you, helps everybody. So that's very good. I don't know if I mentioned this, though, last week. A lot of people think that if you glue stuff, I don't know if we covered this. A lot of people think if you glue stuff and you don't use solder, that's not good quality. I don't know what you guys personally feel. There are some things that certainly seem to be better depending on the type of jewelry you're making, that it would be soldered. Say, for example, that you've got sterling sheet and you're making a bezel and you're setting semi-precious stone in it, bezeling it in, setting it, and say you want to make it into a ring or something, then, first of all, you're going to solder on the pieces to make the bezel and close it, and then you're going to for sure, you're going to solder on the ring shank on the back of it. That you wouldn't glue, okay? That's just, that's solder. But for assemblage and stuff like that, you have to glue it, because you're using plastic parts, glass parts, this and that and the other thing, sticking stuff in cracks and here and that, and adding little pearls here and caviar beads here and this and that. You gotta glue it. It has to be glued, period. Does that mean that that's cheapy-deepy jewelry and not as good a quality? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. A lot of people who do assemblies, they get very good money. I have gotten very good money for certain things that I've done in the past. I try to keep things a little lower now, though, because remember how we talked about pricing our jewelry and the sweet spot? I'm pretty sure we talked about it here. I know we discussed it a little bit
yeah.
on the group, on the creative group.
Well, here's the response for some of them. I have an Etsy shop where I sell my jewelry. I have an Etsy shop. Yes, I sell online and in person at shows and festivals. I sell things. It has been a little hard lately, although my last show was a good one. I do craft shows, and Candy says I'm doing a craft show on Saturday, and the price is always a challenge for me. I'm looking forward for your tips. And Andrea says I don't sell on a regular basis.
Now, that's good to know, guys. But I think probably the majority of us sell at one point or another. We might be a casual seller. Like when it suits us, we'll sign up for a craft show and go over and have some fun with it, which is nothing wrong with that. That's fine. That's great. Or some of us might be quite dedicated to it, and we keep our show hampers full, and we're on the road, and we're doing a lot of shows. I used to do 22, 23 shows a year, so figuring that there's 52 weeks in a year, I did a lot of shows. I was out there a lot. And then when I got into my commercial line of jewelry that I made for shops and stuff, then I slowed down with the shows because we were working here at home, getting the jewelry ready to send out. So I did only the better shows at that time, But, I've had plenty of experience with that. Not recently, though. I haven't done a show for a really long time, and I really, really miss it. I always say that. I really, really, really miss it. If you're able to go out and do shows one-on-one with people, it's great, because you get to talk to people. You really get to know who your customer is that way. Because you'll see it physically. Who's buying your stuff? Who is drawn to your stuff? What do they want to spend? You can talk to them. Hey, what do you like? And they'll tell you. You may not even have to ask them. They'll tell you what they like. Oh, don't you have any of this? Don't you have any? They'll guide you, too. they'll guide you to what sort of jewelry you need to be making. And then what you have to do is you have to set that happy medium where you're making them happy because, like it or not, if you're selling your jewelry, your customer comes first. It's not all about what you like. It's great if you can make what you like and your customer wants to buy it. And sometimes maybe you have to start out with only what you like because you don't know who your customer is yet. You're not real sure. And then as you find out, you have to kind of tailor, what you do to suit them. At the same time, you can't sink down into just never doing anything you like, never trying anything. You can't let that stifle you. If you make your jewelry only for yourself or to give away, then you don't have to worry about any of this. Although if you're giving it away, you want to build good quality into it because you don't want to give something to somebody and it falls apart the next day, right? But if you're selling it now, it's really important. It's called artistic generosity, and those who've been in the Build Line class before know what I'm talking about. And what that is you have to be generous with what you're willing to do to make your customer happy. If you insist on only making the stuff that you like, then your sales may be scanty, because if the people coming through looking at your stuff, they think it's interesting and they don't want to be unkind to you or say they don't like it, although some will, you may not sell too much if you insist on only doing what you like. Now, if it just so happens where you live, people like what you like to make, oh wow, you got it made, it's great. But you'll still be tailoring it, because they'll say, oh, I like this color better. Don't you have anything? You'll find out which colors sell best. Just the same as when I was selling vintage jewelry. I found out real quick what colors to pick and what colors not to. Chalk white was kiss of death, and orange was even worse. Topaz didn't do great. Olive green wasn't good. Any of the more drab, plain type colors did not do. They do fine now. Not in every market, but you can sell them. They'll do all right. Because people have started to realize that, for example, topaz looks great on people who have a little bit of yellow color in their skin. What they call an autumn. If you're into that Color Me Beautiful stuff, I think it's great. I think it works really well. I know the first time that I put a piece of jewelry on that had topaz glass in it, I was amazed, because I thought this is going to be the ugliest thing ever. And it just lit my face up. I'm like, oh my. But then come to find out, it was my color. Now that I have, silver white hair, that might have changed a little bit. But back when, I had darker hair and red hair and all that, it just popped. So it's good. It's good too if you know a little bit about that color theory. It's not hard to find out. There's a lot of videos. There are a lot of videos about it. And the old Color Me Beautiful book, I think, is still out there. You can probably find a used copy on Amazon. And it was great. It breaks it down really nice. So, it might be something you might want to know a little bit about. I'm not talking about a color wheel, like what colors to put with what colors. I'm talking about colors that look good on people. Color theory. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, let's see. What are you saying? Lisa says, I've done antique shows, but never jewelry. I would love to. Yeah, Lisa, you'd like it. You'd like it. You would really like it. I'm always excited when I have a repeat customer and tell me how happy they have been with a previous purchase. Yeah. It doesn't get better than that, does it? It's always so nice when you find out somebody likes what you do. And I used to, because I did so many of the same shows every year, I kind of had a circuit that I did, I would sometimes let my good customers know by sending them a postcard, say, hey, I'm going to be over here, catch me over there, because that was before social media for the most part. And they would come. I was surprised how many would come. And I would give them a little code, that you can get like 10% off or something. It was amazing how many would come. And especially when I did the end of the year shows, the holiday type shows, a lot of people would come in. And I was always really careful that I had things for everybody. I had lower cost things. I didn't just have more expensive things. That way, people would come in and they would buy maybe 3, 4, 5 or more pieces of something of a type, and that was their gifts they were giving. People like we used to do Victorian-looking hat pins, which I never did quite understand why people bought those, because most people don't wear hats, and the hat pins I used were smaller, so they weren't going to really hold anything on your head anyway. But they were real pretty. And I used to have this little boot thing that I'd put them in. I made, and I stuffed the top of it and put them in it. And I'd put it right under light so that the light would come down over the glass on the stick pins and the hat pins, and it just looked beautiful. And then I had a great big basket too that I stuffed it and padded out, and then I put them all in there. People just were all over that. If it was a 2 or 3 day show, at the end of that show, there would be very few of them left, because I think I charged $10 a piece, or maybe it was even like it was $8. And I had little heart charms that I engraved as, say, love, sister, secret pal, grandma, mother, aunt, what, all that stuff, sentimental family type stuff. And we would just sell gobs of them for, I think we sold, this was a long time ago, but it was like $3 a piece. And we could, because the brass part didn't cost hardly anything back then. And then I engraved them, and I was fast at it, so I did that. And then I had a little helper that helped me antique them. That was quick. And we would just, put a little lacquer on them so it would stay nice. And we put not even a pin back, it was one of those tack backs on them. Put on a little card. It was cute. I have to laugh. Somebody showed me, not a real long time ago, hey, look at this vintage piece on it. Here it's engraved on. I had to laugh. I made that. Where did you get that? I made that. I'm like, no, you didn't. Yes, I did. We used to sell a lot of those. But to find whatever kind of little thing that you could do, maybe put in a basket or under light, like I did. I don't know if hat pins would do very good now or not. I mean, this was quite a while ago, but we did a very good business with those. Not only just it shows what we sold them. We had like a set that you could buy. I think it was, I made you a little display, and then you got like 30 hat pins in it for X amount, and the shops used to buy that a lot. And they said they did good with them, and then they come back and they said, well, we want replacement, hat pins for that. So that worked for us back then. I just don't know how well it would do now. You could try it. We don't even have hat pin shanks anymore, or stick pin ones at the site, but I can get them. I probably should. They're fun, and they're easy. They're just so easy to make and fun. Just sit there and, try your different beads on it that you have and what looks the prettiest, and bead caps, and like if you have some rondelles to put on there and that, they can really look pretty good. Let's see, I see movement over here. So somebody is saying, I always did well with monochromatic black and creams. Well, for the kind of things that you did that were so vintage, dear, I would think that would do very good. That would be who was that, Ilyanka? I thought I said go back this way a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ilyanka, how you doing? I haven't seen you for a while. Yeah, you can go back and see the beginning later. Stay with us for now. Later, it's going to be here. All the videos are recorded, so you can just go back later and watch it over and over as much as you
I think a
like.
bunch of them were having a hard time with the customer base on Etsy.
Okay, it can be hard to figure out your customer base on Etsy. Gender, you can tell. Age group is harder. Huh.
It really depends on what you make.
Yeah, I kind of agree and I kind of don't. I think what it's calling is maybe doing a little bit of research on what's selling to different age groups. We don't do at Bissou Boutiques real great with like teenagers, because we do a lot of vintage stuff and they're just not into that. So that's the constant thing I'm trying to figure out, how can I attract teenagers so they can learn to appreciate jewelry more and not just be throwaway stuff to them. Learn to love jewelry,
Not even teenagers, it's just a younger generation.
Or
like
younger.
Even just like like around even 18 and the 20s.
Older, yeah, into the 20s, yeah. It can be. I know Mr. Burney has a line of what he calls minimalist jewelry, and you probably know what that is. It's like a little tiny pendant on a chain. It's kind of contemporary looking. It might be like a bar, or they have the thing where it's a bar pendant. It doesn't say anything, doesn't have any ornamentation. It's just like a rectangular thing that's on a chain. Simple. Younger people like things like that. They might layer and stack them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so they do end up looking like they got more on, but some people just want one thing. Like some people just want a little rhinestone heart on a chain. That's all they want. So you could look around on Etsy and look for other sellers who have stuff like that, and you'll get a feel for if they're selling them or not. But you could make stuff like that for under $20 easy. And especially this time of year, you might really sell a lot of it. I have all kinds of stuff lined up that I can do that. I like to just do chains with clasps, because sometimes people just want a chain. They might come in my website, and they look around at everything. Oh, that's cool, but they don't really want to make anything. But then they'll look and say, oh, does she have any chains? I can use a chain. People will buy chains. There are sellers out there that all they do is sell charm bracelet chains and other bracelet chains and necklace chains, just chain jewelry. That's all they do is sell that. And you can tell by their sales that they have and however long they've been on Etsy if they're doing well or not. And some of them are doing quite well. So it just takes some experimentation, but like a lot of us, what we like to do is we like to do vintage look type things. And beading and things are a little bit more intricate. I know, Colleen, you like to do brooches. I love brooches, but it's been difficult to get people to accept brooches. So this time of year, a little bit easier. And I would have to say, even though I don't personally do holiday jewelry, if you do, you would probably do okay with holiday type pins now. But the other thing about holiday jewelry to keep in mind, once the holiday is over, it's all 50% off. Isn't that true? You think about it. Think about the mall. Think about everywhere you go. After it's over, it's bye-bye. So what you can do is put it away till next year, or you can blow it out. Because when that's over, that's it. So that's just something to keep in mind. It's the seasonal stuff is only here for a while. Sometimes summer jewelry can kind of segue into autumn, or spring into summer. That kind of thing. Dramatic pieces can be held back for when you get dressed up. It can serve different purposes. But holiday jewelry, it has a shelf life, and it's kind of short. So if you're going to do that, have it ready. Way ahead of time, photographed and ready to go, so that you don't miss your window on selling it. Let's see what else we say. Decorated bobby pins. People have been asking me about that. And I do have the wire combs now, and I also have the wire headbands. Since I've let my hair grow out, and I wear headbands a lot, I thought, people have asked me, could you build a tiara or something on that that's, funky in your own kind of style and doesn't look like Chinese prefab, for lack of a better word. And you can. In fact, we have a video from Lindsay. I can't remember what her last name is now. She wrote the book. She used to be real active in the creative group. Anyway, go to our tutorials. You'll see it. Lindsay has a bunch of tutorials on her website. And she has a pink tiara that she made off of a, like just a regular, oh, my hair looks great now. Let me hold this up. So here you can see it. I'm trying to see what I'm doing. It's this kind of a thing, I kept getting off camera. Show me where to put it. Okay, she knows. Just that. We have a bunch of that.
Oh, did you just beat all the beads on there?
Well, actually, I bought it like that, and then it was made really crummy, so I ended up having to redo it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But it was easy. So now I think it's all wire now. I redid it. Okay, now that the trick's going to be getting this back on, I may have to look in here to see. Anyway, hopefully I got it okay.
Yeah, looks good.
Good enough. Good enough. So anyway, but yeah, I thought, since I'm wearing more headbands and I'm always looking for something pretty, I really like my pearl headband I wear a lot. I thought, well, what else could I do? And then I thought, oh, and then I saw a movie where a lady had a headdress almost going across, and it was built on something like this, but it was really built way up, and it was all Haskell beading type. Well, it wasn't, I don't think a Haskell piece at all, but it was, some costumer made it or whatever for the movie, and it is absolutely striking. I don't know how many people would buy that. Brides, and also the Renaissance Fair people. Don't forget them. If you have a chance to do Renaissance Fair and you like that sort of thing, you could sell a lot of jewelry at a Renaissance Fair, and they love headdresses. And there's, gobs of ways that you could, make a headdress. You could even do it on a fabric band and hot glue flowers to it and everything. There are times when hot glue is okay. It's just not good when you're doing metal, right? So that wouldn't be good quality, because what it'll do is in winter, hot glue contracts and you just pick it off. Or in the summer, it melts and makes a mess on everything and contorts. So it's just not a good choice unless you're doing it on like paper or fabric type things, and you'd be okay with that, but not metal. It doesn't work out very good. Okay, Dara says, I have a group of first and second grade girls who always check to see what I'm wearing. They love the fuchsia and turquoise chain I use from the site. Yeah, they would. Colorful.
Yeah.
They would. Somebody... Oh, I put that picture of the baby who's looking upside down with this little button ear. Linda helped me a long time ago to get the rights to use that in my advertising if I want to. It's so cute. I don't even remember where I first found it. But anyway, she got the rights for me so I could use it. So I don't know if they're current though. Anyway, I have to talk to her about that. I'm off on tangent. But anyways, and I said something like, well, how I always say on the group, it'd be better if I do a cat picture, it should have jewelry on or whatever. So I always say anything you show in the group should have jewelry on it or jewels or something. So I had the cute little picture of the baby because I wanted to get you guys' attention to tell you, don't forget to come today, I'd like to have the pleasure of your company, which thank you, so many have showed up. It's great. So then I'm saying, she should have some jewelry on her, but I don't know where. So then they were saying anklets for a baby. That might be a cute thing to make, anklets for a baby. My one problem that I have with making children's jewelry, and you'll have to weigh this out for yourself, but because I made jewelry professional, I still make jewelry professionally for so long because I deal in the parts business and that, and I know legalities of some things. Like I have some really heavy duty insurance to be able to do what I do. I don't know if all sellers do, but I do. I even have cyber insurance, everything, to protect me. And also, too, you sometimes have to protect yourself from people who buy stuff because, who's going to be culpable? Whose fault is it? If something makes somebody sick or a little kid swallows something, is that really your fault if you make a baby anklet and the kid picks up, mom's not watching, the kid swallows it and has to go to the emergency room? Is that your fault? I don't know. It depends on how court of law looks at it, if they want to take it that far. And do you want it to go there? Do you want to be bothered with that hassle and that stress? I don't. So I don't do kids' jewelry. Now, if somebody wants to buy something from me, and they want to make kids' jewelry, that's their business. But I do have a disclaimer on my website that the things are not for age 13 and under. That's what I was advised to say. And I know, for example, 1920, I always refer to them, but I've learned so much from them. They used to have 1928 kids, and it was a line of jewelry, very popular. They sold tons of it. They sold millions of dollars of it, but they had to shut it down because they were getting lawsuits. Because kids who really shouldn't have, some kids are great. Like my little nieces, you give them a piece of jewelry and they're like, Aunt Brenda gave me this. Oh, this is so pretty. And they're so careful with it. And other little kids, they've got like something that's in their mouth and they're chewing on it. That's no good. So I don't know if you can put a disclaimer on your pieces or what. You can ask. Maybe you can find that out online, without having to go to a lawyer or something. But I'm not going there. So that's why when they said baby anklet, I'm thinking, well, if you're grandma or mom, you want to make a baby anklet and then watch the child so it doesn't get itself in trouble, okay, fine. I know, like, for example, little tiny babies, they pierce their ears. And they say the reason they pierce their ears is they haven't quite learned yet where they're feeling pain or anything, and they haven't quite learned where their ears are yet, and so they don't mess around with them. They get a little older, they can be taught. And I know in a lot of cultures it's a very, very normal thing to pierce a child's ears when they're quite young. But you think about what do they put in their ears? It's usually a stud. It's not usually something dangly that they could pull on. So it's a little bit of a hot topic, and at the end of the day, you have to figure it out. Do you want to go there or don't you? It's up to you. So let's see. I have a friend who makes and sells circlets for the Ren Fair. She does really well with them. Marilyn Letchworth, I think is her name. You might see her once in a blue moon at the website. She's been a customer of mine for years. And what she buys from me, that's exactly what she does. And her things are like what I call big opus. Huge, big, crazy stuff. And lots of new agey type things, all headdresses. I don't think she makes anything but headdresses. She does extremely well with them because that's what she does. That's her customer. She knows her customer. She plays to that crowd, and they come to her and they always want, like every year they want a new one and everything else. It's almost like I got something in my eye. For example, the people that make hats for the Kentucky Derby, that's a big deal. If you go to the Kentucky Derby, you go all dressed up and you have a hat, and it's a big one with all kinds of stuff all over. It's like they're all competing to see who has the coolest hat. I always thought that would be fun because I used to do hats. I did everything, and I loved doing them. And when we went down to the shop, I had some mannequin heads. And I made hats for all of them, and I had such a good time. I still have them. I'm still wearing my hats. So, anyway, so that's something. That was me, told you to put the baby wear anklet. Was that you, Pat? I don't remember. So, if it's your grandchild or your child, then you want to do that, then that's up to you. I could just see the baby getting that off of its foot and chewing on it when you're not looking. So that's my problem with it. Will it look cute? Absolutely. It'll look really, really cute. And I do know you can buy children's jewelry. I mean, they have it. You can buy it. But a lot of those companies have, big insurance policies to protect them, too. But if you're just making it for your grandchildren or your little nieces and
Hello, Kimberly. Hello,
if they want it, they want it. So it's
Claire.
cute. It is definitely cute. Yeah, Kimberly. Hey, Claire's here.
Yeah.
The Lester's left just a few minutes ago. Oh, yeah, it's that time of day. Yeah, a teacher would be kicking him out of the classroom, telling him to go home. Anyway, so that's great. Let's see what else we got that I missed. There's a bunch of things I think I missed. And make my day when they check out more and more. You know something, Dara? We used to make a lot of what we called teacher jewelry because it sold super well. Kids want to give the teacher a gift different times of the year, end of the year. And we would sell a lot of teacher jewelry at shows, especially, certain times of the year. So we had all kinds of teacher jewelry. And another thing I noticed too, when I was doing a lot of picking and I might buy a whole bunch of jewelry from one person, like they were wanting to get rid of all their stuff and that. And I could always tell, if they were a teacher. because of what was in there. It's like tons of teacher jewelry. You know, like you'd buy like off at Etsy or eBay or even privately, somebody have a sack of jewelry. Hey, you know, you want to buy this? You know, if it's $10 or under, I would usually say yes, as I'm sure many of you would say. And when I get in there and start going through it, a lot of times I could tell was teacher jewelry. Kids bought stuff for the teacher, you know. But that's a little bit the other side of things, you know, where you're wearing things, you know, and then they want to know. And many teachers told me during the time when I was making a lot of jewelry and going out with it, many teachers told me that they loved to wear bigger jewelry because the kids paid attention. They watched them when they were talking and they paid attention because they're looking at their jewelry and hopefully listening at the same time. Yeah, I had heard that comment a lot, really, really a lot. I once made several necklaces for a lady. Oh, yeah, hey, Gail. A lady who owned a horse racing a Triple Crown. The pieces even include some of the horse's tail hair and feather. How cool was that?
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, we made, you know, Marshall University, the one they had there was a movie about, you know, they had a plane and it went down or something and they lost most of their teeth. You remember that? I think it was called We Are Marshall or something. Who was in it? I think Matthew McConaughey, maybe some other, I don't remember exactly. Anyway, we got a call from Marshall University one time and they had, I guess their mascot or their thing is the Thundering Herd or something, so it had to be buffaloes or something. And they said, can you make something for us that says Thundering Herd? So we did a bunch of jewelry for them that had that on it. I remember one time I made a whole bunch of jewelry for a candy factory.
Really?
And they wanted pins for all their employees. And they gave me a list of names they wanted to put on it. It was quite a few. It was like 50 pieces we had to make. And then they wanted like little things that look like candy and stuff on the pins. They were real happy with it. Oh, geez. I had so many experiences back then. A lot of them I've kind of forgotten. But yeah, the more you do this, the more you will encounter people that, you know, want something. Because I did a lot of weddings back then. So if you do wedding jewelry or enjoy doing weddings, you know, have that in your booth. You may not sell it, but you know, you can give cards out to, you know, people who are going to be brides, and maybe you'll get some of their business. And, you know, if you can stand it, it can get to be a little annoying, bridal business. But if you can stand it, it's good money. So, I mean, I used to do the wedding jewelry and the flowers and everything. So, I mean, that's something, you know, you could think about too. See, you are a wealth of information, experience, and knowledge. You've probably done just about everything. Jewelry, craft, Wednesday. Well, I don't know if I've done everything because there's so much new stuff coming out all the time that, you know, I don't know. I've been thinking, people have been saying, why don't you get some seed beads on your website? And I'm like, I don't know, because then that means I have to learn to use them. Well, we do use seed beads in the Miriam Haskell jewelry stuff. So, but I mean, that would be cool to take a poll of and have people, that'd be good maybe to take a poll of people, find out who all uses seed beads and what kind do they like at the group. The group's always great to tell me, you know, that kind of stuff. And I might do some Yukis or some Better Check or something. I don't know. I mean, they have their place. They work out good in mosaic too, you know, but there's that. And I don't know if I've tried a lot. I've done a lot. I forget about it, how much I've done. It was just a journey of one thing after the other, you know. I don't know if everybody here, I think most of you have a copy of my book. I don't know if you do or not. We have it on the website, and it's the book that I wrote for 1928 Jewelry Company. But the thing that's interesting about it is it tells my journey in there. And it even opens up when you open in the front page. It shows my great grandmother Agnes and her and granddaddy on their wedding day in 1901. And that's our family pictures. There's a picture of the pattern that I used to make my own wedding dress. Why is that in there? Because that's where I started with the company is when I was getting married in 1975 was my first encounter with them, and I just tell the whole story. And then there's a whole chapter in there that tells you all the stuff that I did and how I got started doing it and all that. So someone found that to be interesting. And also, if you want to know like the science of developing online and marketing it, and of course it's in a big way because 1928 went for the brass ring, you know. But it tells my way too. It tells their way, and it also tells my way, how you can do it on a big scale or how you can do it on a small scale. And this is how it's done. And it's very enlightening. So if you don't have a lot of experience with marketing, of course that was physical marketing, you know, at shows and other things. But then I sold to stores. So, and we had sales reps, so we had catalogs, and then that's how it was done back then. Now you've got the internet, but you can use Etsy that way. You can put it right on your Etsy. I'll take custom work. I'll sell wholesale. You know, if you want to do that, you know, you could develop a whole line, wholesale, and only work with stores who have vendors' numbers or tax ID. You could do that. You could make a whole website with that. I mean, people have to buy stuff somewhere. You know, even if you're selling from your website to another one, you know, they have different clientele than you. We don't all run in the same lane. So, you know, there's that possibility too that you could do that. But I meant to bring a copy of that book back here, but I think most of you have a copy of it. You think my take on seed beads would be interesting because you're design mind. I don't know, Pat. I think I need a lot of guidance there. I think I could get with it, but you know, as you get older, your eyes aren't so good, and mine certainly aren't. And I don't know how much of that I could do, but I've seen a few things lately that intrigued me. And you know, what I really like are those little shaped beads, those check shaped beads. They make the cute stuff out of it. I thought, oh, how laborious to do that. And then they have all these patterns, you know, that you can get. I can't read those patterns. I don't know about you guys, but I can't read them. I can't figure them out. I need to be shown one-on-one. Show me. So when I see something and they're showing how they do it, and then I get to looking at it, and I kind of get a feeling, okay, this is what they're going to do next. It doesn't take that long. It isn't that hard. And I'm like, that might be the thing to do. But also, those little shaped beads are great in mosaic. And you know how I love mosaic. They're absolutely fabulous in mosaic. So, you know, there are several ways to go. But, yeah, I hesitate a little bit because I have to, you know, take time and learn how. But it does intrigue me. That's for sure. It does intrigue me. It always has. So, anyway. So, animal charms. Yeah, animal jewelry is always good. Yeah, Lisa, you've made some really great charm bracelets that were all like horses and animals, cats and stuff, you know. Theme jewelry is always a great way to go, and it's a crowd pleaser. Say, for example, this guy comes into your booth, say you're doing a show, or it comes into your Etsy or whatever, and he's looking around because he kind of likes, you know, your aesthetic, the appearance of your booth, or maybe the look of your Etsy, whatever, your logo, whatever. So he starts looking around, and he needs gifts. Okay, so you show this cute piece, and it has a cat on it, and it's under $30. He's probably going to buy that for Grandma. This is the whole success of like Troll Beads, Pandora, all those lines. I couldn't get it. I could not, and still have trouble with it. Why do people pay so much money for that? It's silly to me. But I hope I'm not offending anybody if you like that stuff. It is cute. I like it. But I just can't see the price at all. I don't care if it's sterling. Like if they put a sterling cap in something, you know, it's a cap. I don't know, but I'll tell you why it's so successful. It's because they do it in themes. People will go in, and it's like it's a birthday or whatever, so they go to wherever they're selling Pandora, Troll, whatever, that stuff that's like it, and they look for a new bead for their wife or sisters or aunts grandma's bracelet to put on there. I had a customer when we had the shop, and we just loved her a lot. She's come see us a lot, and she came in one day, and she had a Pandora on, and she was the last person I expected to have a Pandora. I just didn't think, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I just didn't think she would have one. I says, oh, let me see it. So she showed me, oh, this is on here for this reason, this reason. Just kind of like a charm bracelet. It's like a sliding charm bracelet, you know. So that's why. It's because it brings people back and they want to add something on. So you could even sell, like, I know Mr. Bernie does this. I haven't done it yet. I probably should. Just take an initial charm, or even just a figural charm like a kitty cat or something, and put it on a lobster claw so it can be hooked onto something. Some people would just take charms and hook them onto a bracelet. That way the bracelet's big enough to support it. Or they'll just put it on a purse or something. Some people, if they have tie shoes or shoes that they tie, like sneakers or something, then put a piece on that, whatever. He's got a whole section of that stuff. And he's always saying, why don't you do something like that? And I'm like, for me to take the time to do something like that, I have to believe in it. And I'm not sure I do. But then how much would I be out? I mean, if I made a page of that and it didn't sell, I could mark it down, get rid of it, or I could take it all down and break it apart and make something else. You know, of course, what I would be out the time that we had in setting that page up and for Javi and Diane to do the photographs. So, yeah, it's stuff to weigh out. You know, there's so many angles to think about when you're making something. But the main thing to remember is if you're making jewelry to sell, you have to try and find out a way. And sometimes it's trial and error. Who you have, what look you have customers for, and then kind of try to go in that direction to keep them coming back. I know one thing in my business of selling parts. Thank goodness I have a ton of repeat business. And that's what's keeping us afloat now, because things are kind of tough for people who are in the supply business. There's a lot of competition, a lot of cheap goods. People already have a lot of things, don't need more, and that's fine, but you're there trying to maintain your business and go on. Now, I have to be, we talked about this last week, you have to be in a constant search for new customers. Not that you don't love your old ones. You're so grateful for them, but you got to get new ones in there because tastes change and all that. So you have to be always looking, you know, what's the next trend? What's the next color? What should I do? And sometimes you only know that by doing it, you know, so it can be a lot of work to find out what works. Patterns drive me crazy. Yeah, I can't read them. You got to show me. There's no way. So anyway, it's a fad and trendy. Thank you, dear, about the book. I don't know that those patterns and beads are trendy, Lisa, because they've been around for a while yet, and they keep growing the lines all the time and coming up with new patterns and ideas with them. So I kind of think they're here to stay, like seed beads are. You know, seed beads are here to stay. You know, if you like them or not, they're here to stay. People were playing with seed beads how many years ago? Many, many years ago. Probably when some of us were kids, we were playing with seed beads, you know, and a lot of us are not youngsters anymore, so it's been a while. So we have that. Okay, guys, well, listen, I didn't get everywhere I wanted to go with this, but, you know, we did talk about most of it. And wasn't this interesting? Thank you all for participating. I really appreciate your input. And I'm going to talk about seed beads on the Creative Group because I want to hear what people have to say about that there too. But yeah, we're about out of time for today. I don't want to hold you up any longer, but thank you so much for coming. And remember, you can watch this again and again. It's a free class type video, but this gives you an idea of what this class will be like when we do it. And it will be a paid class. I throw little bits out. You know, I've always done that, you know, when it came to YouTube. You know, we have videos about pricing and costing, which those two things are different. They're not the same, pricing and costing. And you can look them up by using the search engine feature on my YouTube channel. You can find them. We have a lot of videos about the business of business. So and display and things like that. And that's another thing. If you belong to the group, or if you don't, please join us. I would love to see what you're doing with our goods. You know, you do have to. If you're gonna post there like pictures, I do need to see stuff that you've made with Bisa Boutique stuff things. But on the other hand, if you want to show us a show display or something you built to do, you can show that kind of stuff anytime. I'm always happy for it. You can always ask questions and participate in conversations and so forth. So you're not limited there, because maybe, you know, like maybe you don't have any of my stuff and maybe it's not a good time to be buying it either. I hear you. But come anyway, because you're going to learn, you're going to make friends. It's going to be great. So we like to see things like that too. Okay, so 600 BC. Yeah, I believe you, Pat. I believe you on that. Hey, thanks for coming. Oh, what is Heidi sewing? It shows I always have a bowl, a small beaded dangles with a lobster clasp, and also beaded dangles with a lava bead for essential oils. Yeah, a lot of people are doing that, essential oils. So use my bead soup to make the dangles. Yep. Excellent. Okay.